So guys, in this part we are going to work on the player jumper. So for doing that, we need to go first to our script. Let's open our script. Now we need to make a function. So I'm going to make this function down. Here I'm going to write public void. So on jump input. Then input action dot callback context. So now here if context dot fuzz is equal to input action dot fuzz dot started. That means is this is it the first frame that we held the button down. Then here we say is grounded, which we need to make this function. So I just need I need another one. We don't need another one. Oh, that's because if we need to call it is grounded. Then I want to make it function. Now I need to make that function because I don't have that function. So bool, we're going to call that function is grounded. And here we need to say my rig dot add force. Then we need the vector 3, the direction that is our up. Then we want to multiply it by our jump force. First, I think we need to make the jump force. Yeah, I didn't did that. So here, going to make copy that and paste it. Going to call it jumping. And here public float jump force. And the next one will be our layer. Public layer mask ground. Going to call it ground layer. So now let's go down. Here jump force. Now here comma force mode dot impulse. We are going to use the force mode impulse. As you see, we have different force modes. We have acceleration at the continuous acceleration to the rigid body, ignoring its mass, or force at the continuous force to the rigid body using its mass. Impulse at an instant force. That's why we need to use that function, the impulse, because we need to instantly force our player to move toward upside the rigid body using its mass. And it is also the velocity change. So now, but for our case, we are going to use impulse. So now here in bool is grounded, we need to send the raycast. Raycast is work like a laser point. It's going to shoot a ray toward the object or toward the ground, and he's going to get some information about that and send back that information to us, and we are knowing that if you are grounded or not, or if you are hitting something, enemy or object or not. So now here we need to use ray because we are going to use more than one ray. Is equal to new ray, and here we are going to send 4 rays. So then here we need to write new ray, transform the position, plus inside of the parentheses we need to send forward, transform dot forward multiplied by 20 centimeter, so 0.2f is 20 centimeter, and after that we want vector 3 down. Okay, so now I'm going to copy that one. But did I copy that, not paste it? And paste it instead of transform.forward, I'm going to put minus because we want the opposite direction of that. So now imagine this is our collider. So from the bottom of the collider, we are going to send the raycast toward the downside. From here, and from here, and from here. Okay, and if this raycast, we make another color, hit the ground with our ground, then it means our player is on the ground. But if they didn't hit the ground, then that means we didn't hit, we are in the air and we are jumping and we are not grounded. So hope you got it. So now as you see, we did for these two direction, this one and this one. So now we need to make for the left and right side. So here I'm going to copy these two lines, paste it. This time instead of forward, we want to use the right side. we send a raycast to the right side and also from the left side. So here minus, that means going to from this side. Okay, so now here we need to use the semicolon. So now we want to see this raycast, we need to use private void, and there are gizmos. Then here we are going to gizmos dot there are ray, and inside we are going to use this function, this line here. So now we need to do the same things for the rest of them. So I'm going to just copy that, paste it 4 times. Here minus. Then here instead we have the right. Here is also right. And here we have minus. Now because we want to see them, we need to give a color to them. So here gizmos.color is equal color dot red. So now to test it, we need first to remove these errors. We need here to return something, and I'm going to return false. So this is the reason of this is because I need to use comma here. Okay. So now save it. Let's go back to the game. As you see, guys, when I'm going there, you can see the 4 raycasts here. As you see, we send in 4 raycasts, and if this 4 raycasts hit the ground, that means it's in ground, but if not, that means we are not in the ground. Okay, this is our 4 raycast that is around 2 centimeter, 20 centimeter. And here we have a jump force. For example, I'm going to give the jump force around 100. And ground layer, which we need to define it later. We need to make, for example, our plane. Here I'm going to click on our plane, default, add a layer. We can put the layer at ground. Then I'm going to our plane and put it at ground. So that is the beginning setup for this. So now let's back to our script again to finish it, because it still is not finishing. So here we need to use a loop function to loop to our raycast to check if we are grounded or not. That's why I'm going to use the for loop. Here we say int I is equal to 0. Then we want to say if our I is less than our raise dot length. Then we want to add 1 to it. Then here we are going to check if our physics dot raycast, inside of that raise I, then comma. After that we want 10 centimeter, so 0.1 f. We want ground layer. Then after we checking our array info, if the hit, it's all of 4 rays hit the ground, that means we are on the ground. That's why we need here to return true. But if they didn't hit ground, then they return false. That means we are going to loop through each of our raycast, and if the 4 of them hit the ground with our ground layer, then we are going to say, okay, we are on the ground. But if none of them, or even one of them is not in the ground, then we say return false. So now let's talk about this for loop. As you see, guys, here we have a 3 statement. One is the first statement, the second statement, and the third statement. Here, the first statement, we are going to set a variable before the loop start, which means our point is I is equal to 1. It can be 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, but for our case, we are going to use I is equal to 0. And after that, we are going to statement 2. Statement 2 is that as long as our I is less than our raise.length, so less than our, you see one of them, we are going to use the array list. That means index 1, index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, as long as our array, our I is less than our array dot length, is the 4 here, because we have a 4 array, then we want to add 1 to it. That means if we have a 2, then after the loop is finished, we are going to add 1 to it, it becomes 3. And it's become a 4 until it's going to stop. And as you see here, statement 3 increase a value I++ each time the code block the loop has executed. And also statement 2 define the condition for the loop to run. If the condition is true, the loop will start over again, and if it is false, the loop will end. So hope it's clear for you now, guys. So now let's save it. Going back to the game. After it compiled, we are going to our menu, to our player input, to main, and then we are going to jump. Here we have a jump. I'm going to click on it, and then I want to bring my player inside, player controller, on jump input. I'm going to use that function. So, and the last things that we forgot is our ground layer. We need to put it as the ground. So now I'm going to put, instead of 102, maybe 70. I think 70 is better. So now let's test it. See, we are jumping, but as you see, we are having also this walking sound, which we need to fix that problem. Okay, so now let's go and fix that problem. Let's go to our player controller. So we will need to call the function isGound, where we are going to play the sound of the walking sound. Where are that? I forgot. It was here. I think it was here. Where is my script? Here. Here I'm going to use and. So now we need a two condition. This is our first condition. If the first condition and also the second condition is true, then we are going to run this code here. And the other is grounded. So now we shouldn't get that walking sound. Let's check it again. As you see, guys, as soon as we landing to the ground, then we have that sound. Nice. That's exactly what we want. So I'm going to stop it. Just don't forget to put the ground layer to ground. It is really, really important, because if you don't put that anything, as you see, your player is not going to jump. So be sure that you put, I'm going to make it red, to be sure that you put the ground layer at ground. It is really important. So now I'm going back to our script. So is also the definition of our loops. I write it here if you want to add it. Oh, now that our jumping is working, see you in the next video.